My name is Emily Johnson, I'm 32 years old. I'm a working housewife who got married 3 years ago. I thought my marriage was relatively good, but it seems I was the only one who thought so. I never imagined that just 3 years into my marriage, something like this would happen. A few days ago, as I mentioned, I'll be away on a business trip for a week, so please take care of the house.
Got it. Don't worry about the house, just focus on your work.
That day, I, a designer, was supposed to leave for a week-long business trip. I had informed my husband about this trip well in advance, and on the day, he sent me off with a smile. However, the trip was suddenly cancelled, and I switched to working from home. Therefore, I went straight back home without doing anything. It was just past noon when I arrived. My husband was supposed to be at work at this time. But when I entered the house, I saw a pair of women's shoes I'd never seen before next to my husband's at the entrance.
Come on, stop it. What's wrong? You don't hate it, do you?
A man replied playfully. I heard these cheerful voices from a room. Bracing myself, I silently moved towards the bedroom where the voices were coming from.
What are you doing? What? Why are you here? Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip? Why did you come back so suddenly?
As I suspected, in the bedroom, there were my husband and his mistress, both naked and frolicking on the bed. My husband seemed quite surprised by my unexpected appearance. But that was only for a few seconds. Then, he changed his attitude as if he had nothing to lose.
Well, it's okay. There's no point in making excuses in this situation. It's a silly question to ask what a man and a woman are doing lying naked in bed, right? What do you mean by that? Well, what can I say? You've caught us. What's that? Are you just giving up? Rather than making up lame excuses, it's better to admit it clearly. Yes, I've been having an affair. So you took a day off work while I was on a business trip to bring that woman here and cheat on me? On the very bed we always sleep in? That's what I'm saying, it's a silly question. How long have you been involved with her? How long has it been? About 6 months, I guess. She approached me, and that's how it started. Ah, so she approached you. How many times have you been with her? This isn't the first time, is it? Well, it's not the first time. Anyway, what are you going to do about it? What's it to you? Are you planning to divorce? I'm fine with that. There's no point in staying with a woman who can't have children. I was completely deceived. You never said you might not be able to have kids until after we got married. You're probably thinking of suing me for adultery, but I feel like suing you for deception.
We wanted children immediately after getting married. But even after a year, I couldn't get pregnant. It turned out I had fertility issues. At first, my husband consoled me, saying, well, it's unfortunate about the kids, but I didn't marry you just to have children. A life without kids is fine, too, right? As long as we're happy together, that's all that matters to me. He was so kind with his words then. But now, 2 years later,
I just can't imagine a life without children. If I can't have them with you, then I have to marry someone else. Just so you know, it's your fault I had an affair. If you're going to blame anyone, blame yourself.
He said, completely unapologetic for his affair. Not only did he refuse to take responsibility for his affair, but he also blamed me for it.
I'm gonna divorce you, Emily, and marry her. We'll have lots of kids and live happily, unlike you who can't have kids and got dumped by your man. Right, Jane?
My husband said this, turning to his mistress, who stood next to him with a pale, frozen face. Since I burst in, his mistress, for some reason, hadn't said a word in her defense and remained silent.
What's wrong? You've been quiet since a while ago. Do you feel sorry for her or something? You don't need to think like that. We didn't do anything wrong. You said that too, right? Stop, please. What's with you? You've been acting weird since a while. Don't talk to me,
she said, covering her face with her hands, trying to hide from me. She really didn't want me to see her face. Unaware of his mistress's distress, my husband continued talking.
Don't talk to me. Why are you suddenly acting like this? We were just having a laugh at Emily's expense a moment ago. What's bothering you so much?
Each time my husband spoke, his mistress's face grew paler.
Just shut up,
she finally yelled, losing her patience with my husband's unnecessary comments.
Of course, that would make anyone raise their voice. That's you're worried about what would happen if I told your husband about your affair with him, right? Unfortunately, I've got all the evidence I need, so I'll be reporting this to your husband. Huh? Husband? What are you talking about? Why would you have any contact with her husband? Didn't you know? She's the wife of a friend of mine from middle school. We met once before. That's why she was so desperate to hide her face from me, right? What? Is that true? I don't know why you approached my husband, but now that it's come to this, I'm going to have to tell your husband.
At that, the mistress quickly put on her coat and apologized to me.
Please, can you just let this go? I'm really sorry. If my husband finds out about this, why should I care? You were doing this in someone else's house with someone else's husband. It's only right that you're reported.
She just groaned in response. Ignoring her and my stunned husband, I took out my phone and called my friend.
Hello? Can you come over right now? I caught your wife and my husband together, naked. Yeah, please hurry. What did my husband say? He's on his way right now. So both of you, don't move from there. Wait a minute, calling her husband, are you trying to create a scene? Create a scene. We're already in the middle of one. I didn't mean for this to happen. I never thought it would come to this. What are you talking about? Did you forget what you just said? You're gonna divorce me and marry her right away, right? And now you're worried about causing a scene? It's ridiculous. From the way you were talking, it was clear you both knew you were married. It would be strange if it didn't turn into a scene. You said it yourself. It's better to admit it clearly rather than make excuses. Then, at least let us get dressed. You two, what are you doing? What? Isn't her husband coming right now? We can't meet him like this, naked. I told you to stay as you are because my friend is coming. Who said you could get dressed? But it's fine, isn't it? You were naked in someone else's house in the middle of the day, so what's there to be embarrassed about now?
Both of them just silently looked down, awkwardly silent. About 20 to 30 minutes later, my friend arrived at my house. Distressed by the unbelievable situation.
Why would you do something like this? It's not what it looks like. It's a misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? You're naked in someone else's house in the middle of the day. How is that a misunderstanding? Wait, let me explain, you'll understand. I just met her recently. This is the first time we've been involved. It's a one-time mistake, please forgive her.
My husband was blatantly lying. He was so clear about it to me, but now that her husband showed up, he changed his tune.
Please believe me. I'm not lying. Let's just go home for now, okay? I'll explain everything when we get back. You don't need to. What you just said is totally different from what my husband was saying earlier, right? You met him 6 months ago, and this isn't the first time, is it? Why do you know that? I told you, I had evidence. I've been on the phone with Jane's husband since before I entered the house. So, it's obvious that what you're saying now is just an excuse. What do you mean? You just found out I was having an affair, right? And you only just found out she's your friend's wife. Then how could you have been on the phone with him before entering the house? I had a suspicion you were having an affair for months. What? I didn't have any proof, and at first, it was just a woman's intuition. But one day, I found 2 bath towels in the laundry basket that I didn't use, and I thought maybe you were bringing women home when I wasn't around. So, a few weeks ago, I installed surveillance cameras in several rooms. And I was right. They captured you bringing women home and having fun several times. And you know, today's surveillance cameras are really high-tech. They picked up not just the video but the audio clearly. You were planning to frame our affair and claim alimony, weren't you? What?
The surveillance cameras had captured their conversation.
We'll divorce our spouses after framing them for infidelity, then we can be together. It's fine by me. But how are you planning to frame them for infidelity? I asked a friend to fake evidence of an affair. I saw it online, it seems to work well. Plus, your wife can't have kids, right? I already have a son, so it works out. We could even have another kid. As the mother, I'll get custody for sure. Isn't it a great plan? Yeah. I could frame my wife for infidelity, get alimony, and divorce her. Her being infertile would be a good reason for the divorce. I'd get money and marry you. We could have kids, it'd be perfect.
I was appalled by their despicable plan and immediately contacted my friend.
I could have confronted them right after seeing the recording, but I thought I'd catch them in the act. That's when I came up with this plan. A plan? Yeah. I lied about having a week-long business trip. I figured you'd definitely invite a woman over if you knew I'd be gone for a week. I planned to use all my accrued vacation days and stay in a hotel for a week. But, to my surprise, you called her over right after I left. Thanks to you, I only used one vacation day and hardly spent any money. You exceeded my expectations by inviting her over so soon. How badly did you want to see her?
Hearing this, my husband was furious.
Don't get too cocky. You think you're winning? You're doing something even worse than my infidelity. Installing cameras like some kind of voyeur. It's a crime. There's no privacy. There are things you can and can't do, even in a marriage, right?
His outrage was astonishing. In my stead, shocked and speechless, my friend spoke up clearly.
This house was originally rented by your wife, right? Putting surveillance cameras in your own house hardly constitutes a crime. There are indeed things you can and can't do in a marriage, that's true. But you, bringing another woman into your house and doing this, have the nerve to say that? Do you realize how contradictory your words and actions are? You've been silent all this time, acting all high and mighty. You might think you've cornered us, but you're no lawyer, so stop acting like you know everything.
The bedroom fell silent. Then, awkwardly, the mistress whispered in my husband's ear.
My husband is really a lawyer.
Hearing this, my husband's face turned pale. He seemed too shocked to speak.
I had a hunch you were having an affair. That's impossible. I didn't have evidence either, but after being together for years, I noticed changes in my wife. Of course, I never imagined the person she was having an affair with would be my friend's husband. I was shocked when she contacted me saying, "My husband is bringing your wife to my house." At first, I thought it was some kind of joke. I didn't want to believe it, but after seeing the video evidence, I strangely felt convinced. That's why we decided to work together to catch both of you. So, you didn't go to work this morning either? No, I didn't. I took the day off to catch you. Oh. Why have an affair? I've agreed to everything you wanted, supported everything you wanted to do. And yet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You're saying you didn't intend to make me sad? I had to watch that video. Did you think I wouldn't be upset? What I can't forgive is what you did with our son. To come here, you left him at your parents' house, right? Lying that you started a part-time job so they would take care of him. What? I was wondering where you were leaving him. Recently, your mother said to me, "It's strange that my daughter has to work part-time even though her husband is a lawyer. We don't mind watching our grandson, but don't make her sad." What did you tell my mother? I didn't say anything. She was just expressing her concern for you. I played along, pretending not to know. But that's not the issue. What I can't forgive is you lying to leave our son with someone else, just to meet your lover. How would our son feel if he knew what his mother was doing? He's young, but kids notice more than you think. I know. But you were always so busy, never paying attention to me. I was always at home, alone with our young son, feeling suffocated. You couldn't possibly understand my feelings. No, I don't understand. We talked about this, didn't we? I work hard every day, not just for myself, but for you and our son too. You understood that, right? If you had any complaints, you should have said so at the time, not express it in this way. It seems we can't continue as a couple anymore.
She looked down, unable to respond to my friend's sound reasoning. My husband watched their exchange with a detached look, as if it was none of his concern.
Why are you listening as if it doesn't involve you? You're a part of this. We don't have kids, so we don't have that issue, but surely, if we did, it would have been the same. What do you mean by that? That's what I mean. I don't even want to see your face anymore. I want a divorce.
I thrust the divorce papers, where I had already filled out my part at my husband. Seeing the green document for the first time, he began to panic more than ever.
Divorce papers. Are you serious? You really want a divorce? That's what I'm saying. But divorce in this situation? No, I don't want a divorce. Just a while ago, you said you were fine with divorcing. Now that you're at a disadvantage, you don't want to divorce? Isn't that too convenient? I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. Just not a divorce. I'll break up with her and never have an affair again. Please. No, you don't need to break up. Do whatever you want. I just want your signature on these divorce papers. Emily, listen to me. It's too late. Imagine how I felt being shown that over and over. I will never forgive you.
Saying that, I grabbed my belongings and left the house with my friend.
Where are you going? You're not doing this to spite us, planning to have an affair with him, are you? Thinking you can get revenge if you're wronged? That's right. You've always said you two were just friends, but there can't be friendship between a man and a woman. Were you having an affair, too? I'm appalled. Is that all you can think of? If a man and woman are together, they must be involved, right? Don't lump me in with you. What are you saying? I can't stay in such a filthy place. That's why I'm going back to my parents' house. To your parents? You're not going to tell them about this, are you? Of course, parents would want to know why their daughter is returning alone. I plan to tell them everything. Is that a problem? I'll go back to my place, and you don't need to come back. Not come back? What about our son? I'll pick him up from your parents' house. You're going to tell my parents, too. I haven't decided when, but it's likely I'll talk to them. Wait. Let's talk this over, just the two of us.
She hurriedly dressed and tried to follow him, but my friend and I completely ignored them and left the house. Afterward, we both reported everything to our parents. In the end, a meeting with all parties involved was arranged.
You, having an affair, are you out of your mind? It's not like that, Dad. There's been a misunderstanding. Still saying that with evidence in hand.
Both our parents were speechless at the surveillance camera footage. On the other hand, her parents were furious. Especially her parents. I thought you started working part-time because you were struggling. To think you left our grandchild with us to have an affair.
Do you even realize what you've done? You're unfit to be a parent. Don't say that much. Realize the gravity of what you've done.
They couldn't forgive her for deceiving them about the child to meet her lover.
But there's something I don't understand. Why my husband? He said you approached him, but why him? That's too much of a coincidence.
She hesitantly answered my question. At our wedding. When you showed me his picture, I thought it was fate. At that time, you were not married, showing everyone his picture, saying he was your boyfriend. I thought if I could get involved with him before you two got married. But then I heard you got married soon after. I thought I'd give up, but years later, I saw him in town and couldn't hold back my feelings anymore. So, I approached him. Everyone present froze at the shocking revelation. Jane had fallen in love at first sight with my husband, having seen his picture just once at her wedding. She couldn't forget him and supposedly approached him by chance when she saw him later. She claimed it was a coincidence, but I had my doubts.
Fate? You thought that on our wedding day? Stop joking around. I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. I loved you too and thought having a child would make me forget him. But when we met, I couldn't control my feelings. While I was working hard for you, you were doing this. I thought about rebuilding our marriage for our son's sake. But staying with you wouldn't be good for him. Let's get divorced. Divorce? And you're planning to take our son's custody? Of course. I can't trust you to raise him properly now. If you have a problem, we can go to court. But I won't give up custody of our son.
Eventually, both I and Jane ended up getting divorced. I demanded from my husband the cost of moving out of the house I was renting, and the expenses for replacing the bed and other items. Naturally, I also demanded a fair alimony. He was unhappy about it, but...
Obviously. How can I continue living in a house where you brought another woman, in the bed where you were intimate with her?
He accepted my demands without further argument. As for Jane's marriage, a custody battle over their son ensued. Despite her claims that mothers usually win, this time it was different.
How did the custody battle go? Of course, I got custody of our son. The fact that she left our son at her parents' under false pretenses and her lack of income made it easier than expected. However, as a lawyer, I'm often away from home, so living with my parents was a condition. Your parents must feel more secure that way. I was just worried about how sad our son would be separating from his mother. Kids don't understand adults' reasons. But when she tried to hug him goodbye, he smiled and waved. That seemed to have a big impact. She left without saying anything.
Eventually, my friend moved back to her hometown with her son. Months later, my ex-husband and Jane ended up getting married, as they wished. But surprisingly, they divorced within half a year. They couldn't stop fighting and blaming each other. The reason I, his ex-wife, know about all this is because he contacted me after divorcing Jane, wanting to get back together.
Things were really tough after remarrying. The happiest I ever was when I was married to you. Honestly, I regret it. So, how about we make up and get back together?
But my feelings hadn't changed.
I have no intention of getting back with you. Can you stop calling me after changing your number?
Then my ex-husband accused, "You must have remarried that lawyer, right? That's why you're rejecting me." He insinuated that my refusal to reconcile was because I had remarried our mutual friend, the lawyer.
There's no way I remarried. I'm done with marriage because of you. Understand that and don't contact me ever again. Wait a minute. Don't hang up.
I was appalled by his constant self-serving mindset. To think that I lived with such a person as husband and wife for years gives me chills. But on the other hand, perhaps it was good that it only lasted a few years. If anyone is currently struggling with divorce, I think it's better to divorce sooner rather than later. Life is too short, after all.